Good afternoon. This is Felix Garcia, aka the Finance Pastor. What an honor and a privilege it is to be welcomed into your home. Many moves have been done this week in the stock market. It is Friday, first full week of 2026, and there has been a lot of geopolitical news that has helped accentuate this stock market. Many people believe that there was a lot of downturns, maybe a lot of headwinds, but with the news of Venezuela and the oil that the United States has now taken control of, and also Colombia's president now playing nice, you're starting to see that a lot of people are having more confidence in the power of the United States. Many of the moves that we start seeing, many tech companies, all these roundtables that are happening in Washington D.C., we start seeing that Meta is going to be investing in nuclear power. We have seen the stock of Oklo really take off. These are certain things that we want to look at as investors: is where could we position ourselves in order to prosper in the stock market. Usually when you get a lot of news that moves the stock market, a lot of the moves are really quick, and you have a lot of traders, even mostly retail traders, that are really trying to get that bump up. And it's always the traders who get in later are the ones that really either take a loss or really are holding the bag. If you're a stock trader, which is, I'm an advocate for stock trading. I love futures, I love options, but I'm mostly 90% of my trading is stock. And a couple of covered calls is what I like. I like renting out my stocks like a piece of property. I also own real estate. So to me, is I'm on a long person's game. I don't believe in overnight money because there's no such thing. If you do believe in overnight money, I suggest you go play the lottery. But one of the things you look at, if you want to get rich slowly, stock market's where it's at. Why? Because think of this: the US dollar is, getting worth less every single year. When the government prints out more money, our dollars are worth less. Meaning, if you're buying good assets, and Robert Kiyosaki wrote a book called Rich Dad Poor Dad, and he says that assets put money into your pocket and liabilities take money out of your pocket. So we start looking at we taking dollars that are worth less and buying good companies. That's why we have to look at what are the stocks or maybe the companies of the future. And not only that, you're going to start seeing that some of the companies of the future haven't even been, are not public yet, or haven't even been birthed. Somewhere in the United States or all over the country, or all over the world, there's some young person who really thinks that they can change the world, that are really going to do it. And if that's you, you keep working on those projects, because you never know what's going to be the next thing. We're seeing technology move at a high rate of speed. We are using Moore's law, where everything is doubling every single year. Even that applies to speed of the internet. We're going to see by next year that the speeds are going to be even quicker. We're seeing a lot of companies just really investing into nuclear power. Is one of the biggest proponents of that. They just announced that they are purchasing and partnering with Oklo, which is a big backer by Sam Altman. These are things that we need to pay attention as investors: is whose money is moving and who's controlling the money that's moving. We see a lot of Washington, D.C. players. We see a lot of Silicon Valley and others who are really making this market move. Our job is not to create the wave, but to follow the wave as an investor. And we're looking at stocks that maybe are moving the market this week, but I'm also bullish on 2026. Now, I don't think it's going to be a straight shot up. You're going to have some headwinds. Could it be in the next few months? I don't know. But one of the things that's going to be a key proponent of this year is going to be who's going to assume the Fed chair, who's going to be the next chairman of the Fed. And that is very important. Why? Because are they going to be in sync with President Trump? Are they going to lower rates? Now, one of the things is you have two things that are really working for us if the rates drop. Number one, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are now going to be buying back a lot of the mortgage debt, which is moving a lot of the market today. They're going to be absorbing the debt, meaning that interest rates could go down. But until we see that, we want to make sure that we following the market now. This is the first time in a while where rates have gone down. So we're starting to seeing a little uptick. Maybe some people are more bullish and maybe want to get in front of the line there, but I also want to see what's going on too. Sometimes being the first is not always the greatest thing. Any of you who golf, many of you know that the first person that builds a golf course loses money. The second person that buys that same course loses money, but just not as much. But it's usually the third person that buys this golf course that actually ends up making money. Same thing is with a stock. Sometimes the first wave up is just a head fake, just to get a lot of the retail traders, and you get a lot of option activity during that time. Our job is to be a patient investor, and patience is the name of the game. That's why I'm an advocate for long-term investing. If you're worried about what the price is going to be tomorrow, you shouldn't be investing. If you're going to say, hey, I am buying this stock today, it may be worth 30, 40 bucks, but tomorrow or next year or in 5 years, I think this could be $100 stock. That's investing. You couple that with inflation and how our money is worth less every single time, you're going to start seeing that as a prudent investor, you're going to be seeing the growth in a lot of the stock market. One of the things you want to look at is proper expectations, meaning this: there's no overnight money. In fact, the Bible doesn't say anything about overnight, but what it does says is, by the sweat of your brow you will eat bread. To me, as an investor and a Christian investor, is that by my hustle, by the work, by the research that I'm doing, that I shall eat bread. Now, I play the long-term game, like I mentioned earlier. I love real estate, it's in my portfolio, but I've been investing for over 18 years in the stock market, and it was the catalyst that gave me the money to start investing. Now, one of the things I look at is, what can I put my dollars, what is growing, and what has the potential to grow. As a youngster, I used to watch a cartoon called The Jetsons. And many of you who are my age, I'm 48 or older, we're starting to see a lot of the technology that was like prevalent in that cartoon. We're starting to see a lot of that now. So we're starting to see that technologies keeps on moving. Is, who are the companies that are on the forefront right now? We can mention many companies like Nvidia, like AMD, like Tesla. Those are the lead magnets. Google, Alphabet, many of those are going to be in the forefront. But who are the next companies coming up? You have to think about this. Over the last 3 to 5 years, there's been 7 companies that have really brought up the stock market. You're going to start seeing a lot of rotation very soon. Why? Because there's other companies that need to participate in this growth. You need power for AI. That's where you start looking at a lot of energy companies: Oklo, Peabody, Chevron, coal. A lot of this stuff is going to be powering a lot of these data centers that are coming soon. Now, look long term. Look at, where could these companies, how could they line up with your morals? Are they dividend payers? Are they high growth? You start looking at what companies are the ones that can really help in growth, and then you start parking your money little by little. Some of you here say, I don't have, may say, I don't have a lot of money to invest. That's okay. It's about the habit. One of the things that I've seen people who are successful is, they didn't have a lot of money, but they'd stop buying dumb stuff. So in 2026, stop buying dumb stuff. You start looking at, when you start buying your coffees and all these eating out, and you put that money into good stock, you start seeing that over the course of the year, you've invested 3 to 5 grand. It sounds small, but a lot of you waste that type of money on junk. So you start seeing is, why can't I put that money into good investments? And I want to look at certain stocks that have really powered today. And I want to share my screen with you guys. All right. Let's go look at this one. So now we're looking at the S&P 500. S&P 500 is really doing pretty well today. I mean, it's marching up. It's up 51 points. We are flirting around with that $7,000 range. I thought we would have hit this maybe in December, but this is a range that many of the investors are looking at. This, if the S&P hits that $7,000 mark and stays there, you'll start seeing that this stock market is going to start taking off. Now, if it hits that $7,000 mark, best believe that it is going to test that range. Could it test it for a couple of months? I believe so. I believe they will test it once there's a new Fed chair in place. If that Fed chair is in sync with the Trump administration, you're going to start seeing a lot of big moves by the S&P 500. And the S&P 500 is a barometer of what the stock market is doing. You start seeing, let's look at the NASDAQ over here up 284 points. Again, it's in this range. It's in like an indecision. It's testing these highs, and we're starting to see like triple moves right there. Could this be a form of maybe a supply, or could it be maybe leg up for demand zones that are about to be setting up? Those of you who have traded in support and resistance type of vocabulary, we're hitting a lot of resistance right now into this area. Could this be a place where the ceiling now becomes the floor? That's a possibility, but we still have to look at what the charts are doing and what the chart is telling us. If you've ever read music, if you're the type of person that understands like reading music, or if you ever went to a church where they had the read back hymnal, a lot of reading charts is almost like reading musical notes. And that's how I internalize it in my brain. Many of you who are visual learners, this is a way to learn how to trade in the stock market. Let's look at the Dow Jones again. Dow Jones making some serious moves. If the S&P starts hitting that 7,000 mark and the Dow Jones starts hitting that $50,000 mark, you're going to start seeing a lot of testing. This is where investors can either see if there's a pullback and then load up on stocks, or just keep riding the wave. If you're a long-term investor, then to me, price doesn't really matter to a certain extent, but you just want to do dollar cost average. If you're buying over time, just put money away. You're going to start seeing that putting money away, in my opinion, in the stock market, it's a supersized savings plan, in my opinion. So Dow Jones is doing well. You start seeing the VIX is down. Not much movement there. Let's look at Apple. Apple again, it's in a buy range. Now it's consolidating down. If this stock goes into this range in that 246, that 245, 246 range, I'm a buyer. You have a lot of institutional buying here. Let's just look even from this side over here, a lot of institutional buying in this place right here. There was a gap, filled it. So to me is, if Apple continues to drive, I'm gonna have this on my watch list. If Apple goes into the 246 range, to me, it's a place where, if as a long-term investor, I would keep loading up. This is how also your dollar cost average can be of help if you're learning how to buy in the right place. I had a mentor who always said, buy right. Well, buy right is also buying at a discount. And there's a thing that I always say to you guys is that I want to buy a Louis Vuitton purse, but I want to pay a TJ Maxx price for it. And this stock right here, Apple, if it gives a downturn, I'm looking for that to buy in here. Now, also, it could reverse. Look at this pattern right here. It's a place of indecision. It also, there's a small little gap here. Could it fill it? I don't know. It's a place where we'll keep looking at it. So let's go Tesla. One of my favorites. This one is my portfolio. Tesla again is, you're gonna see either a run up towards the middle to the end of the month. It depends on their earnings. Their earnings is scheduled for January the 28th after market. This is one that I am kind of paying attention. I have options on this one, and actually, I'm kind of getting my butt kicked on this one. So, but let's see what happens. I also own this stock. So this is something long term. I'm bullish on Tesla. To me, it's an undervalued stock. I use options to make money off of Tesla off these moves, but then I take the cash that I make and I buy more stock. So I buy and sell to create cash so I can buy and hold and create cash flow. So this is one of those stocks that I'm looking at. Netflix. I am bullish on Netflix, and this is in my buy zone right now. So, Netflix right here, I am looking to add. Am I going to add today? The answer is no. But I'm also looking to add into this range. This right here is a strong move for me. I am looking at this very carefully. So, this right here, could it go down into this 85, 83, $84 range? If it does, it doesn't necessarily have to go in there, but I am thinking of really putting a position in this stock. I love Netflix. Long term, I'm bullish on Netflix. There's a lot of things that Netflix is doing outside of just streaming television service. Many reports of Netflix are coming out that Netflix is actually getting into the music space. Netflix, if what I hear is true, and this is if it's true, there's a lot of movement that is happening in Netflix that is very positive for me. Is they're gonna rewrite the way music is being done, how artists are being signed, and you're gonna start seeing that Netflix has such a big platform that they can push new artists. I'm bullish on Netflix long term just because of what they're doing in addition to their streaming services. So this is one that I am very bullish on. And I've been waiting for it to come into this zone right now. And it is confirming a lot of things here. So let's look at Amazon. Amazon, I'm in this play here right now. Amazon has had a nice day. It's recovered a little bit today. It's had a great run from the 234 range. It almost seemed like there was a bull flag pattern, but this stock has really just followed the pattern right here. Is following the 5-day moving average. For those of you that are in this, Amazon's been a good play for us this year. It's kind of had a nice 4 or 5% move in the last about four trading days. So Amazon, bullish on that one. My range is in the 254 to get out there in that range. Amazon, bullish on that. Let's see what else. Nvidia, getting hammered a little bit, but Nvidia, I'm looking at if it falls. I'm looking in this 175, 170 range. Could Nvidia fall? Perhaps. This is one of those, many investors are here. You could start seeing people just maybe wanting to take profits. I know a lot of people who've been in Nvidia. I know people who've their dollar cost average is in the $45 range. $20 range. So some of them have mentioned they might sell, and I don't blame them. They've really crushed it on this one. Nvidia is a favorite one of mine. Is it also in my portfolio? AMD. Let's go to Palantir actually. Palantir, another one that I'm bullish on Palantir. You saw this stock really take up and take off after we invaded Venezuela. But another thing is this stock over time. I believe that we are going to change the way countries do warfare, and Palantir is going to be the leader in that. This long term, I'm looking for this company, their software, just their leadership is very strong. Let's go micro strategy. Bitcoin's been struggling. It's called Bitcoin, Ethereum. They just been struggling. I mean, really, they have. Could I'm more bullish on it towards the year, but right now, if you're bullish on Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, right now is if you're bullish on them, I would just keep adding to your positions. I mean, right now is there's ways to just keep adding little by little to your positions where you can keep this one going. I like master strategy right now is it's either more of hey, a buy and hold, dollar cost averaging. That's kind of what you're doing here. Alphabet, bullish on Alphabet. it- you got Warren Buffett investing in this. I mean, what's not great to invest. Now, one thing about Google is if you're buying as an investor who's looking at a PE ratio, it's a little higher than normal, but it's not terribly high. And over the long term, I'm looking at this one to be uh, a great stock. Google has two main search engines, which is Google Chrome, and then you also have YouTube. really, a lot of that stuff is if they can stay on the leaderboard. That's going to be a key thing for them. They have to be in the leaderboard and innovating. MU Micron Technology. This one has just really had a great run. I mean, MU to me is the pick and shovel of the AI race. I know a lot of friends that have been investing in Micron. I mean, it is taken. Look at this beautiful since September. I mean, you have just doubled, more, almost tripled your money here, at least 270%. I mean, what a great move. If you're in this stock, congratulations, you've done well. I'm not in this one, but this one has had a great run. And you start seeing that there's many stocks that are making good moves. Could it be, could it be, is it going to be is it going to be continuation of that? I don't know. One of the things that we look at is you always take news with a grain of salt. Not every good news is always going to be good news for the stock market. Now, what we're seeing with the Trump administration and what he's proposing, which is this institutional institutions from buying single family homes. I live in Tennessee. I did live in Atlanta, Georgia at one time, and it is true. You couldn't buy a home in Atlanta, or if you were renting, most of them are owned by big box companies. Now, you start looking at even in a small town like in Tennessee, you have big corporations building developments of single family houses and then renting them out. It has become an epidemic. The American dream is to home ownership, and you have a lot of these big companies that are really ripping that dream out of many people here. And there's many people, the affordability of of a new home or even a starter home, it's ridiculous. And you start seeing that over COVID, a lot of these landlords, I mean, I'm a landlord too, but there was the rent increase was ridiculous. You have many people who didn't even fix anything in their home and charging double, like if it was a new construction home. We're going to see a lot of people, to me, if we could lower rates, you're going to start seeing a lot of people with home ownership, at least the start of it. There has to be something to jumpstart the market, either lower down payments. Many presidents did this. This is not something new. President Bush did this to jumpstart the economy. President Obama did this to jumpstart the economy. President Trump's first term, he did it to jumpstart the economy. A lot of the flipping that really just took off was around that 2014, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19. There were so many cheap properties. And you have companies like BlackRock that they were buying a lot of these homes that were foreclosed in bulk. They were buying 100, 500, 600 homes at a time. So you start seeing that a lot of these companies have really taken the dream away of home ownership. Now, I'm not against a company making money, but let's also think about the consequences of what you do to people also. You know, I'm all about profit, but I'm also about doing the right thing. And home ownership, a roof over someone's head, should be something that every American should have access to. Now, I'm also for the type of person that works for what they have. So, like everything else, is everyone, you have to do your part. But also, if the government helps out the people through tax abatements, new construction loans, or whatever it is, that could help jumpstart the economy. And there's a lot of people that want home ownership, and that should be afforded to them. So I'm looking forward to that. I hope you guys have a phenomenal weekend. The stock market is still holding strong, but I'm looking forward to a strong finish. I'm also weary of what news is going to come over the weekend. Now, the tariff decision by the US Supreme Court was delayed. So that one, you know, that could have either taken the market down or up depending on the decision. So many investors were waiting on that today. And since they make no decision sometimes is good news in the stock market. So I'll look forward to reading some of your comments, and I'm looking forward for what the stock market does next. Until next time, this is your friend Felix Garcia, aka the Finance Pastor. Until next time.